Last day at Expo West, guys, and I ran into John Kohler, who is, he runs a site called Grow Your Greens.
Growing Your Greens.
Growing Your Greens. It's great that I ran into him because I have a lot of questions on veganic gardening, and I think the first question would be, how do you start your seeds in like a cold climate? You know, you want to get your seeds started now. It's freezing or below freezing in Syracuse, New York, where I'm from. Soils, what do you suggest I should do?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things to talk about, but basically starting seeds, you just have to get some seeds and start them inside. Don't start them outside. You could get a heat mat or put them somewhere warm, like on the top of your fridge, which is generally warmer because the fridge is turning on all the time. Don't let them dry out, actually, especially with the heaters on. You know, it dries the air out, which will lose humidity, and the seeds need a nice, moist, warm, place to germinate.
Soil that you suggest? Is there a bagged soil that you can buy from a garden center that's veganic or organic, or what do you think on that?
So man, if you're trying to do veganic gardening, it's going to get challenging for you, honestly, because unfortunately, even in organic agriculture, there isn't a lot of manure, and the manure is coming from the factory feedlots. Like it's a waste product. It's the shit of the factory feedlots that now people every day are putting on their gardens, and this does not need to happen. I'm not a fan of using manure-based fertilizers. So then you could go the other direction. You could go, John, okay, I'm just gonna use the chemicals, man, because I'm vegan and I don't want to put animal manure on my garden. But that's not the answer too, because I'm not into chemicals either, and I don't want you guys to be either. But there's a happy medium, and this is what nature does. I try to emulate nature, right, in my gardening style. And nature, think of a big forest, right? How does the forest get the nutrition? There's not pixies sprinkling pixie dust with fertilizer. There's, the leaves drop off the trees fall over and they break down the fungus, and it feeds the soil. And yes, there's also little like worms and bugs eating all the stuff, and they're pooping their poop. But this is how nature works, and we want to emulate nature as much as we can in the garden, so that can be difficult. So you always want to read the back of the package if you're buying some potting soil and make sure it doesn't have any manure products. And one of the other things that's very important and critical is that it's quite unfortunate. I don't know if this would be considered veganic or not, like human manure. And human manure is now showing up in compost bag products, and unfortunately, as of the first of this year, they don't even have to list it as biosolids or human manure on there. They could just list it as compost. They changed the laws. It's so crazy. So I don't know, man. Is human manure veganic?
That's a very good question. That brings up a really good point. This year, maybe what I do is I start a nice compost pile, leaves, banana peel, all that stuff with my organic waste, so that maybe in the future I'll have my own soil to use to bring inside in the wintertime, let it, keep it thawed out, start my seeds with that soil. But it would be a process kind of thing, right?
Making your own compost is definitely a process. To get started, if you're just starting seeds, they have seed starting mixes, which actually don't have any compost in there. So they would be vegan. Normally they're made out of something like peat moss or coconut coir, which is basically the ground up coconut shells.
Yep.
And that's an excellent medium to start your seeds in until you take it outside and then start planting it out.
Right.
Talking about veganic gardening, we could go into whole other subjects, because it gets, you can't use the manure, which is what most people use if they're like organic, but then you can't use the chemicals, so then there's a happy medium, and it's important to get it right to have optimal success being a veganic gardener. I've seen many people do it. Some of my friends that are vegans have done it maybe not so well, in my opinion, and I'll compare their garden with my garden, and their garden is not as productive.
Right.
So that's the big challenge with not getting enough nutrients in the soil if you're trying to do it veganically, because a lot of times most people are putting nutrients in the manures, which is a concentrated nutrient, much like animal products are a concentrated nutrient. And we want to just give a lot of little nutrients or micronutrients to the garden. So my favorite one that's imperative that you use if you want to do veganic gardening and be successful is actually called rock dust. So rock dust is just ground up rocks, mostly like volcanic or basalt rocks, that adds trace minerals, so 70 plus trace minerals to your garden, so that your plants will have the nutrition in there so that they could grow to full maturity and actually also taste better for you, and also then provide you with the minerals that you're supposed to have in your garden, in your diet, that you may not be getting from standard agriculture, because they're only putting 3 minerals back into the soil.
That's a lot of information. Veganic gardening it's a challenge, but at least that's a start on how we can get our seeds started, and learn from your mistakes for sure. I know I will.
Yeah, that's it.
So we're going to be doing some organic gardening videos coming up, and I'm going to use a lot of John's advice, and I'm hoping to get a juicer soon so I can start juicing my own greens. And thanks for taking the time out of your day and interviewing with me. Where can we find you?
Yeah, you can learn more about me. If you want to learn about gardening, you want to check out growingyourgreens.com. It's the most watched gardening show on YouTube. I practice veganic style gardening, although I don't do strictly veganic. I teach how to make veganic successfully. You know, I use small amounts of manure and I try to avoid it at all costs in my garden, but I do use some on occasion. The other thing, you can check me out atokraw.com, which is where I teach my plant-based raw food teachings on teaching people how to eat more fruits and vegetables. So you could use some of the tips and tricks I share on that website. And then my website for the juicers, the appliances, the blenders, the dehydrators is discountjuicers.com. And that's where I sell the appliances. And then you can check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/rawfoods, which is where I have over 350 demonstrations to share with you guys, you know, what juicer may be right for you, because there's so many different kinds. You know, not everybody's gonna do that and have 20 juicers like I do.
Thanks a lot for taking the time.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Nice to meet you.